All right, hello everybody, and welcome to our week 3 broadcast of UMW live from Scotland. My name's JD. I'm here with our other instructor, Cartland, and we have got with our crew and all the students here a great broadcast joining you here live from the campus of Heriot-Watt University in Edinburgh, Scotland. And all week we've been going on some adventures. We went to Glasgow, we got our first Highlands trip in, and we've been continuing to build and add to these projects, getting great interviews, which you're going to see a lot of, and some other great scenery from around our travels here in Scotland. So let's not wait any longer. Let's get right into it.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Live from Scotland. I'm Riley. I'm doing my documentary topic on the local art scene and sort of non-traditional forms of art. And
I'm Kelso, and I'm doing my research on Scottish folk music in Edinburgh.
And I'm Hannah, and I'm studying the Highland clearances in Scotland.
All right, so really excited to get into what we've been doing this week. Little recap though, over the weekend we did go do some really nice adventures. Different people did different things. Some of us went to Glasgow, but we did all take a trip to the Highlands. And I want to hear all about what you got from that on your topic.
Yeah, it was really relevant since obviously the Highland clearances, the Highlands were where they occurred. So going there was really cool to just see the landscape and how there's basically nothing there.
Yep.
But a big contrast from that is I went to Glasgow the day before and I was able to go to 2 different museums, the Riverside Transport Museum and the Kelvingrove Museum and Art Gallery, which were both super cool. There was an organ concert at Kelvingrove, which was really awesome.
Yeah.
Kelso was there for that. I got a ton of cool shots of the city to kind of contrast because that's where most people moved after the Highland clearances to take up jobs. So there's a big difference between my Saturday and my Sunday, but I got a really good amount of footage. And then on Monday, I actually had my first interview with Matthew Jebb. He was super great. I got a lot of good content. He is a local tour guide, but also a person who just loves history and is super knowledgeable. So if you guys want to take a look, I have some footage from that. Yeah.
The people who were living on the land just did not have any rights whatsoever.
Yeah.
The only rights they had were the rights that they were given. And indeed, certain laws were brought in specifically to target people in these circumstances. Vagrancy is a specific law that is brought in around this period. Basically, you are a vagrant if you cannot prove you have an address and you have no money in your pockets. You are a vagrant. You are in breach of the vagrancy law, and you are going to be transported to Australia. So yes, class is the defining issue of the thing. The people at the top could do what they wanted, and so they did. In terms of the phrase that I think gets used by a poet is there is no wilderness in a deer forest. No wilderness in this sort of artificial landscape that the Highlands have become because they were owned by the wealthy, and the wealthy said, well, listen, I could put a hunting forest here, I could put a sheep farm here, I could have some tenant farming over there, I could have a forestry crop here. The way they appear, rugged and desolate and sort of very beautiful is true, but it is artificial.
That's really awesome. That's really good to know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was super great. We got a lot of good conversation in, and I know some of the things we talked about actually related to other people's topics. But yeah, I learned a lot. And also when I went to Glencoe
What do
when
you
we all
got
went
there?
to we all went to the Highlands, and I got this book about the clearances. So I'm excited to read it and just to learn more. I've only gotten onto like page 6, but so far it's been really interesting. And I know writing books is one important way to preserve Scottish history.
For sure.
Matt and I talked a lot about that, but there are other ways, like the local art scene.
Like art, wow. Yeah, I do think art is really important in terms of preserving history and stuff like that. So for my documentary this last week, I have actually just been like walking around the city and hoping to sort of talk to artists, which has been a bit of a challenge, but I did pop into a tattoo shop the other day and I talked to this really cool guy. His name is Richie. He told me all about, you know, traditional Scottish tattoos and just sort of like the process of the artwork itself. So yeah, like if you guys want to see a little clip from
Yeah,
my
I'd
interview
love
with him,
to.
we can show you.
I think I am probably the only tattoo artist in the country now who still makes his own needles. I will bet you quite firmly that no one else can do it. I've been doing this for 35 years. First couple of years I did it, I was a fine art artist. I had equipment built so I could tattoo in that style. The history of it is now gone. There is probably 2 of us who still do traditional tattooing. So yeah, things have changed, but it's the same with everything. Technology's kind of taken over. The instant hit of being able to do it, you can go online now and watch somebody doing it and suddenly you're an expert. No apprenticeship, no learning the history, no learning any of the mechanics of it. Hand drawing tattoos, none of them do that anymore. Everything's printed, downloaded off the internet. Everything in my studio, I drew it. Tattooing, each different culture has its own thing, you know. Here in Leith, the standard tattooing, obviously this being a port, a lot of sailors and stuff like that, so there was a lot of seafaring tattoos and things like that done, you know. Old school style tattoos with heavy lines, heavy colours, things like that. It's been around for 150 years. Reason being, it works.
Wow, Riley, that was
Amazing.
really good.
It was really amazing. He just
Yeah.
gave me like so much information on tattooing and like Scottish art and, you know, just like this sort of dying out of traditional culture things. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited to sort of dive into that more, talk to more local like artists. There's a street artist I want to get in contact with. There's also like an oil painter I'm hoping to speak
Yeah.
with as well. So yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
excited. And
Wait,
I know like you've got
Yeah.
some art right there. Like you've been walking
Yeah.
around like me.
I popped into some pubs this week, and in one of them I got this little drawing of a fiddle player and a singer. It's a little abstract, so you might have to look at it a little closely, but I really liked it, that it's like a local artist from that pub that I went to, and I just like getting to see the sort of live music this week a little bit more. Last week I talked to Kevin. Yeah, my interview with him was a little bit rushed last week, and he mostly talked about bagpipes, which was really interesting. But this week I got to see him again, and he talked to me a bit more about the sort of casual jam sessions that I got to see. So.
Can you remind us who Kevin is?
Oh, Kevin, he's like a bagpiper, really. He's a professional bagpiper. He
Oh,
bagpipes
cool. Okay.
Yeah.
wherever, different events and stuff. But I have a clip of him talking about folk music here.
All right, let's look at some of
Perfect.
that.
Yeah.
Well, you generally find if you go into a jam session, they'll play what I would call session tunes. So there'll be a session list that most will play. So if you're going to one session, likelihood is a lot of the other musicians that are going along, they'll all play roughly the same stuff. Or if they might ask one of the other musicians, right, okay, Kelsey, what is it you'd like to play now? Does everybody else know it? Right, okay, let's go with that, you know. So they'll maybe just pass amongst each other. Oh, what about that one? Oh, that goes nice with this. And before you know it, you've put a set list together, and then everybody will just start jamming with those tunes. So you'll generally find in a traditional jam session, if there's pipes involved, you will have Scottish small pipes or border pipes playing along with fiddles, banjos, guitars, bouzoukies, and sometimes with the accordion. You'll also get whistle players in there as well, which is something else that I've started to cross over.
Dude, that was
That was
really
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sorry.
Go ahead.
I know, I was there for that interview too, and even though we have completely different topics, it was kind of cool to see how like they can intersect, and music plays a larger part in like Scottish culture and Scottish history too.
Yeah, he was like talking about all sorts of things afterwards that I don't think I really understood myself, but
Yeah.
it was really cool.
That happens sometimes too.
Yeah.
There were some things that my tattoo artists were saying. I was like, oh, like, I don't know, but I'll do some research into it. But I'm really, really intrigued on how we're all doing different aspects of like the culture and preserving it and stuff like that. It's like, I'm
Pretty
really
cool,
excited
yeah.
to see what you guys do in the next week.
Me too. And I know we've done a lot in the last week, and some things like not related to our topics, like the three of us, we actually all hiked Arthur's Seat, which
Yeah.
that was
did.
super fun with
Got to
Kira.
get some exploring in there.
Yeah, and then we went to Glasgow. I know, like we said, we all went to the Highlands, but we got a lot of footage that doesn't really have to do necessarily with our topics. We focused on sound this week, so let's take a look at some of that.
You're standing at the front next to a big speaker. It's quite helpful. Okay, let's go.
Filming the filming.
It would just be a little nibble.
It was just a wee nibble.
Look at it.
I wonder what that means.
Don't worry about that, relax. Do your thing, and at the end of the day, people, what we know, what we want to do is enjoy. So, clearly,
Until the 20th.
I will go to the highlands tomorrow.
This is the festival.
I will go to the highlands tomorrow. Just me.
Well, welcome back. If you're returning, it's so nice to see you guys again. If it's your first time tuning in, it's nice to see you and have you here. And we all want to reintroduce ourselves and our topics. I'll start. I'm Caitlin, and I've been looking at Ceilidh dancing, which is Scottish social dancing.
I'm Lee, and I've been looking at the traditional fabric tartan.
And I'm Kira, and my topic is Scottish Gaelic.
Amazing. So we've had a pretty good past week, would you guys say? So
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
We also were part of the adventure to the Highlands with everybody, where we also collected some goodies. And before we get into our topics and our research a bit more, we wanted to do a little show and tell. Kira, would you like to start?
I got this lovely tiny little Gaelic English dictionary where it has a bunch of Gaelic words and their English translations.
And I got this even tinier book of all of the clans and their respective tartans.
So very much on topic for you two. I left without a book, but I did have my camera in hand there and was able to take some beautiful pictures of the Highlands.
Yeah, I mean, the pictures you took were absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. It was
I
really
loved
fun
them.
just shooting out there and having some fun with the content. So let's talk about what we've been working on and our research.
Yeah, so how has the Ceilidh quest been going?
The Ceilidh quest has just been truly amazing. It rarely feels like I'm researching or like working when I am there at the Ceilidhs, just because the dances are so fun and it's so social and super vibrant. I was super lucky to be able to interview with a caller of a Ceilidh band who is the lead singer, and the caller is also the instructor. So he kind of walks the crowd through the dances. And aside from like his information on the history of Ceilidhs and the dances, he had this really interesting perspective on how they teach it in primary school, which is super cool, and how he thinks it's a really valuable thing because it's good for teaching like social skills and interaction. And so I really wanted to share that focus of the interview with you guys.
Cool.
Yeah.
Ceilidhs are a kind of Scottish tradition, Celtic nations kind of tradition, and it comes from the Gaelic word. It just means a kind of gathering. So traditionally a Ceilidh would be everyone in the town or the village gathering together in some kind of communal space, and they would tell stories and they would sing songs and they would have a dance, and generally just getting together and having a social night. So the dancing has always been a kind of big part of that. I think dancing is a really good social skill to develop. We teach social dancing in our schools, and I think it's a really valuable thing because it teaches boys and girls how to interact with one another in quite a kind of controlled environment. We were actually encouraged to know, okay guys, you've got to stand up and go and find yourself a partner and go and introduce yourself and invite somebody onto the dance floor. And that's kind of scary, but it's a life skill. I think it's a really kind of healthy thing to explore in a controlled way, in a way that you kind of know, right, these are the rules, this is what's appropriate, this is what's inappropriate. It's all very clear and it's quite innocent. And I just love that aspect of it. You know, it's quite a sociable thing to do. The current thing of, you know, young people going to a club or whatever, but there's no rules. And, you know, so I kind of think, well, this is actually quite a nice way of doing it and learning to respect each other and also have a bit of fun. Well, I think it's important to keep traditions alive because you have a national identity that can disappear without you noticing it. Having a Ceilidh is just one way of remembering who we are as Scottish people and being thankful for that and sharing that with people and having a bit of fun.
Yeah, so I feel like there's a lot of like information with like traditions. and like there's like the head and the heart, and I just really like the heart aspect of that interaction, and things like that.
Yeah, hearing that like they teach it in primary school just makes it like seem even more similar to our like line dancing and swing dancing that we do.
Yeah, I especially agree with the swing dancing like dynamic between like it being like two people and it just being like respectful and friendly, right?
I actually got to tag along with Hannah for her interview with Matt, and he's been learning Gaelic for a few years now. So he actually told us a little bit about the history of the word Cayley and something else that's pretty cool that's happening up north.
Ooh, I'd love to see that.
If we want to look at that.
And if you go to a Cayley now, it's a Scottish country dancing, right? Which is great stuff, don't get me wrong. We all learn it in primary school. I could do most Scottish country dances like that because it's all
Yeah.
But the original meaning behind the word comes, and this is how it's been sort of explained to me, is from the culture of getting together at the end of the week. So there would be an institution in the village, An Toy Cayley, the meeting house or the gathering house. And you would go there at the end of the week, and it would be someone's house, you know, you kind of take turns, and you would all just meet as a community. Now, you might just sit and chat. You might bring a bottle of something, you probably bring the Bible, you might bring some instruments, some poetry, some sewing, some knitting. It was about all being together, all sharing the language, all being in the same community. There is a terrific chap called Charlock Wilson, who is a Gaelic scholar himself, and in the town of Stornoway on the Isle of Lewis, he studied Gaelic. And he met a woman there who became a big influence on him, as a local woman, and sort of for her, or inspired by her, he created a little cafe called An Toy Cayley. The idea behind it was a place in town where you could come, sit, bring some sewing, get a coffee, to chat to people in Gaelic. And it's an open cafe, you know, it's not an impediment, it's for everyone. You go in and there is how to order a coffee in Gaelic written up on the wall in translation for you. They give you a little discount, I believe, if you make the effort to try. And they started, now it must have been about 2022, 2023. They were fundraising before that. And the first time I was there the first year it opened. And you know, you could have fit the whole thing between these sofas. It was tiny and just one coffee machine. And now it's spread over 3 floors, over 2 buildings. That's the strength of what that community spirit can bring.
Well, that's amazing. What a cute little story. Do you plan to go to the cafe?
I wish I could, but it's about 6 hours away.
Oh, okay.
Maybe if I come back someday. But
In spirit.
yeah, talking to Matt was really cool because everyone that I've talked to here before that speaks Gaelic spoke it as like their first language. So like talking to someone who's learning it actively is a really interesting perspective. And he talked about how he sees the language as like culturally significant.
Yeah, I when it comes to culturally significant things, I had a really good interview myself this week. I spoke with Kevin McLean, that same bagpiper that Kelso spoke to, because Kevin is actually also very knowledgeable on history, and he taught me a bit about the oldest tartan ever found in Scotland. So let me show you guys a little bit about that.
Yeah.
The oldest piece of true tartan, as I speak about it, the sort of tartan you would refer to, and is, you know, is what I'm wearing today, is the Glen Affric tartan, and comes from north of Inverness. It was found in the 1980s in a peat bog, and there has been some extensive works to try and find out where this tartan came from, who it belonged to. It's found in the 80s. It's been carbon dated to roughly the 15 and the 1600s broadly. Between that period, they have done isotope analysis on it. They're talking of doing isotope analysis to try and find out which area of the country the sheep was reared. They have done dye analysis, which discovered the colours, but not necessarily the shades. And it is one piece that's been brought back in the Genesis of Tartan range by the House of Edgar and a collaboration with the Scottish Tartan authorities. So it's quite an extensive piece.
All right, thank you so much.
Excellent, pleasure, thank you.
So fascinating. I think the most fascinating thing for me is seeing like the colors of that piece that they found and it being like different to what we see in all the souvenir stores, which is what we have kind of behind you guys, like that red. So that's so interesting to me.
Red is definitely like one of the most common colors.
Yeah.
But especially way back when, before they had that red dye from the beetles, they were mainly just using like stuff from plants. So it was a lot more like yellows and greens.
Yeah, spices.
Maybe
That makes
a
sense,
blue if you're lucky.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You're doing something pretty cool on Saturday, right?
I very much am. If that's the oldest tartan in Scotland, I'm about to make the newest tartan in Scotland. I'm making my very own. It's the Lee tartan. I've already got some pretty big plans for it, and hopefully next week I'll be able to bring it in to show off.
That'll be exciting. It's super bittersweet going into our last week here in Edinburgh, but I know I'm also so excited to see kind of how we wrap things up together. And yeah, we also just have some other stuff we've been wanting to share with you guys outside of our projects while we get the next team on set.
Coffee. Tank. Tank.
Stand on them, what's on them? Yeah. Maybe.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Just as a reminder, I'm Owen. My topic is...
I'm Lila, and my topic is Scottish punk music.
I'm Madison, and my topic is Scottish politics, but with a specific focus on the independence movement.
All right, so we're about to head into our final week in Scotland. It's pretty sad and pretty scary. But how have you guys been, what have you guys been up to?
Lots of exciting stuff.
Oh man, do I have something to tell y'all?
Oh, please do.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
I had the best interview ever on Tuesday with this wonderful woman, and oh my gosh, she taught me so much, and it turned into such a beautiful and compelling conversation, and I'd love to show y'all if you're willing to watch.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Let's see.
What would you say to a critic
of the independence movement?
A what?
A critic, like someone who disagreed with you. What would you say to what would you want to say? Would you want to convince them, or would you want to?
Well, to a critic of the independence movement, I would just say, have some backbone and see what happens. You know, because we don't know anything really. Anything could happen, but why not take a chance? Because at the moment things aren't that great, and they haven't been for a long time. We've lost all the heavy industries in Scotland because of the Conservative governments in the 1980s, all of the manufacturing and stuff like that. And those are the people that don't want independence. So you've got to question why that is. So I would just say have some backbone and give it a shot. I believe in Scottish independence.
Wow. Incredibly insightful.
She gave me chills, guys, I'm not gonna lie. And well, you know, my whole goal with my project is to capture the entire movement, not just one side. Yeah. And well, I've really only spoken to pro-independence people, and that interview was just so insane. I've learned so much. And they have this saying where they say no pockets in your shroud, which means you don't take anything materialistic when you move on to the next life. So for them, this movement is so much more about economic debates or debates on militarism. This is about like a sense of national pride and getting that representation they're entitled to and getting their culture back. And I actually was gifted this free book. And
free is the best.
I know. I need to get a book that says no, so I'm like more well-rounded.
Yeah,
but this is amazing. I'm learning so much, and you know, I think Scottish culture here is just so beautiful, and I know music is another way you can represent your culture.
Yeah, here it is very common to represent yourself through like your music taste and just your identity as a whole. I think particularly in the punk community, it is very intertwined with queerness. This week, I actually talked to Suki Goodfellow, who is the facilitator for this event called Queer as Punk, which is a yearly like punk music showcase, really. And there's like poetry involved. It's very cool. And my interview was cool as well. Let's take a look.
Let's see.
Hi, I'm Suki Goodfellow, pronouns she, they. My job title, I run events as Queer as Punk. I could give myself any job title I want as I'm an independent DIY music promoter. I guess people say that Queer as Punk has become a scene. I do love that it's like you've seen the same faces and you build a relationship with a community of the people you see at the same night as you're in a punk band. Everyone is playing the same promoters and gigs. And so obviously I will share other promoters' gigs as well. And that's their nice little scene as well. The future of Edinburgh punk, it does feel like the future is queer. It feels like there's a lot of really exciting queer punk bands out there, and the future is really diverse in ways of how music can be punk. It's not like we're rehashing a punk era that we are nostalgic for in terms of like classic 70s pop punk or 2000s pop punk. I think people are taking punk music in new directions and taking the punk spirit of DIY and do it for yourself. You really just want that raw connection with the audience and having something to say. I think that's where the punk scene in Edinburgh is right now, and I'm really excited to see what people will come up with, even if it doesn't fit people's preconceptions of what is punk. It's breaking new ground.
Wow, that was so cool.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to ask you, have you noticed any differences or similarities between the way queerness is represented here in Scotland versus at home in Fredericksburg?
It's a very incredible question because I feel they are very similar in their representations. I feel in Fredericksburg we have a very good hardcore scene. Hardcore is just like another subgenre of music. So I feel like we have a lot of students at UMW who go to hardcore shows. And once again, we see that sort of intertwining of like queerness and alternative music just because it represents them well. And it's just something that they like and they can, choose to identify with that. And it's just very open and accepting. And I really like that.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. Love it. #BornThisWay.
Born this way. And I feel some people choose to represent themselves as Harry Potter fans.
Wow. Wonder what that has to do with anything. Wow.
Oh, and I have a joke for you.
Oh, you have a joke for me? What's
yeah.
your joke?
So, Owen, you walk into a bar and you meet comedy. What do they say?
Damn nothing. Comedy is dead. Roll the tape. Hello there. You may notice that I don't have an interview subject like everybody else, and funny story, I'm completely boned on this comedy thing. It's over. I really did try. I really tried. I went to the stand like 3 or 4 times. I sent emails upon emails. The contact our liaison gave me didn't get back to me. The stand didn't respond to 2 of my emails. I promise this isn't me giving up. I really did try. But at a certain point, you need to cut your losses and figure out something different. So what I'm doing now is a project on fandom tourism, specifically Harry Potter tourism. I am not a Harry Potter fan. I am not. I'm just not. But I find the sort of relationship between how we have this expansive city with so much history baked into it. It's been around for centuries and centuries, and then now it's been infiltrated by this modern pop culture sensation. For those of you who don't know, J.K. Rowling actually wrote the books in Edinburgh, or at least the first one. And she based a lot of the locales in Harry Potter on Edinburgh. Might seem daunting to, completely change your project a week before it's due. And, well, it is. But I basically have more progress on this than I ever had with my comedy project just in one day. So I'm feeling pretty good about my chances, and I will definitely have actually something for real for sure next week. All right, well, I guess that's all from me for hopefully the last time in this room. I'll hand it back to my future self one last time. Peace.
So, and I just want to clarify, are you a Harry Potter fan?
No, I am not. I don't know if you missed that, but no, I am not. One thing that I'm telling myself, which is really the thesis of this project, is that it's not really a Harry Potter project. I mean, it is, but it's mostly about the idea of fandom tourism, the idea of pop culture sort of taking over a space, and it's not really a concept exclusive to Harry Potter.
Yeah.
This happened in the first off the top of my head is Albuquerque. People would go to the Breaking Bad house and throw pizzas on top of the roof because that happened in the show. So it's just the idea of that, a town that's been around for ages, just being sort of turned into this pop culture metropolis for people to tour.
Yeah, it's very interesting, very in-depth, and very culturally relevant. And we commend you for that.
Yes.
Yeah. You'll always be funny to us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hey, early bird gets the worm, second mouse gets the cheese.
This is true. This
Boom.
is true. This is my new mantra because I learned that phrase today.
Well, I know that you have some exciting next steps with your new project, and we cannot wait to see them next week for our final show. But in the meantime, we have some bumpers that we would like to show you.
Yeah.
Let's roll.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it.
And that is our show here for our. We got just one more week left next week, so hope to have you tune in. First, we want to thank folks, our studio audience, small but mighty today. Yay! And of course, our cast and our crew who work so hard on all the videos. Again, one last update for you next week, so do join us next Thursday for that. We'll see you then.